Hi everybody, welcome back to Susan Lynn Psychic Medium, my channel here on YouTube. I appreciate you joining me today. I'm going to dive into the Afghanistan debacle, and I just want to tell you guys that I'm probably going to say some things that might be a little bit unusual, but as you know, or if you're new to this channel, you just happen to click on this video, I talk to my spirit guides. I'm a psychic and a medium, and I talk to my spirit guides, and they talk to me pretty much on the daily. And they asked me to do this video because there's a lot of heartache and honestly confusion out there about what is going on and what will happen. And I think my guides really want to show you that there's some real concrete happenings that will explain some of the things that are happening. And I think they'll help you make sense of how this is all going to change Afghanistan, I think, in some ways for the better. Surprise, right? I know. What a shock, right? So here's the thing. First of all, of course, this was all Trump's doing. Trump set this up. He set it up. He knew it was going to be a landmine for Biden. This is something the guides have been saying for a long time, that Trump was going to leave landmines everywhere. And he did, right? I mean, we're still dealing with DeJoy, who's a landmine, right? So this is another thing, another snare, another booby trap, if you will, that he's been managed to leave for Biden to have to deal with and clean up, just like he did with the C-19, which is the virus that we can't talk about on YouTube right now. He left that for Biden to clean up too, right? So this makes sense. So, but what I want to tell you about Afghanistan, because I think it's very interesting. They started talking to me about how Afghanistan, and I don't know anything about Afghanistan. Honestly, I'm going to tell you, what I'm getting is I got from my guides, and then I looked it up, and it turns out to be true. So that's what I have for you. Listen, first of all, of course, the guides are saying right now it was a quagmire, right? My brothers fought in Vietnam. My dad was at the Korean War, which wasn't a war. Vietnam wasn't a war, right? I have another brother that was in Desert Storm, which wasn't a war. I get it. All of my grandparents, fought in World War I, World War II. I get it. I've come from a long family history of military involvement. And I get how veterans would be mad. I get that. But it's just like Vietnam. We have to leave at some time. We can't just keep doing this. I fully support Biden. I think that what happened was, they're showing me, was that he had good faith negotiations that the pullout would be timely, and they literally caused the whole thing to happen 2 weeks earlier. And that, again, was to make Biden look bad, right? And of course, the Taliban are happy to make America look bad. I mean, that's their goal, many of their goals. So let me tell you what I think is going on here that I think is important for us to note. And that is that, Russia was in charge, was trying to manage Afghanistan at one point, right? They pulled out. Afghanistan has wanted to be an independent country for all this time, and they still want to be an independent country. Number one. Number two, all of our work over there was just a big grift. Biden said it himself. We paid those soldiers salaries. We spent $1 billion over there, and we've got nothing but people, but we've lost people over there, right? We've got nothing but heartache from being over there. It is time for us to get out. It's time for us to cut our losses the same way that Russia cut their losses when they got out. Now, what's changed is that Afghanistan, this is really, I think, a big game changer. I really do. Afghanistan we've found, since we've gone more into batteries, right? Everything is about solar power, about electric cars. All of these things need batteries. And since now we need the rare earth that makes batteries, we need this new rare earth minerals for so many things that we didn't even know existed 20 years ago. So now rare earth minerals are the thing. That is the new black gold, right? The new oil of the next coming many, many, many decades. Maybe the next 100 years or more, actually, is what the guides are saying. So who's got rare minerals? China, Afghanistan. Who controls the rare minerals? China. Who threatened to cut off our supply of rare minerals during the standoff with Trump in 2019? China. China wants these, they want to own the market. They want to corner the market, you know? They're smart. They're not sending all their money over to stop terrorism or take over some country. They're sending all their money over to steal the country's resources, you know, without the wars. So here they are. Here's China. Hours after this sort of unplanned debacle of the United States running the same way we might say that we did with the Kurds when Trump was in charge. If you remember, all of a sudden our soldiers were running for their lives because Trump allowed the Russians to just roll their tanks in and take over. This is kind of what happened again. But hours after that, China is there, reaching out their hands to the Taliban saying, we want to be your friends. We can work with you. Guess who else was there? Guess who else is still there? Guess who else is still sitting in their embassy eating caviar? The Russians. So guess who's there to pick up these pieces and who really is going to make the money? The United States lost people, we lost lives, we spent $1 billion over there, and Russia and China are going to walk in and get the real deal. They're going to get the rare earth minerals. That is exactly, it's worth I believe it's 1 to 3, are you ready? 1 to 3 trillion dollars. Yes, ma'am, that is a T. These rare earth minerals are worth 1 to 3 trillion dollars, and that's right now, when there's not that much of a need for them. Fast forward 20 years, and how much is that going to be worth? Way more than that. Way more than that. So here's what's happening, you guys. Afghanistanis, I know, they're showing me that part of the problem with Afghanistan is it's been ruled by local tribes, right? And there's no centralized government. There's nobody behind a centralized government, right? That's never happened. Obviously, the president was the first to run. So there's never been any support for that. That was all a bunch of hoo-ha that they sold us Americans so that we would keep sending money over there. And guess who got all that money? American companies. That's who got, because they were the ones who were the contractors. So it was just a big grift. I mean, we're familiar with this story. Okay. So anyway, I want to tell you about this because what they're showing me is this is so much money. This is so much money that this is going to make Afghanistan the new Saudi Arabia. This is what they've been telling me. Afghanistan is going to model itself after Saudi Arabia or after the UAE, somewhere along that line. There's so much money that they can afford to pay all these tribes to form some sort of unified government. It's in their best interest. Is anyone gonna turn down 1/20th of $1 trillion? I don't think so. Everybody's going to want a piece of that. And those tribal leaders are going to get everybody online. And this wasn't possible before, apparently. And I could look into that, but I'm looking at it right now. I don't know why this was possible. Well, okay, I get it. Yeah, because big red truck. Because the Americans were in there, and the Taliban didn't want the Americans to have anything to do with this. They want their own GD independence. That's what they want. And I can't blame them for that. They do want their independence. Fine. Okay? Fine. Be your own country. Of course, they're terrible humanitarians. Their terrible treatment of women is ridiculous. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Or even more interesting, you might say. Saudi Arabia has a pretty terrible record of treating women bad as well. You can't drive there. There's so many restrictions on women. Now, of course, women have been fighting back and fighting back and fighting back, and a lot of those restrictions are being lifted. But it's still not the greatest place to live if you're a woman. If you compare it to other countries that have the same level of education and whatnot, right? So this is what's going to happen with Afghanistan. These, they're going to model themselves. They're going to try to model themselves out after like an Iran or, which is terrible, but better than what we've had. It's better than what we've had. Okay. It's really going to be modernized. Think about it, you guys. Think about $1 trillion. Think about $3 trillion. Now imagine that desert landscape turning into Dubai. Because that's what we're talking here, folks. That's the kind of money we're talking about. So you're going to see Afghanistan transform itself. And I think, and my guides think, that this money is going to be the cohesion, going to be the glue that's going to keep these tribal leaders together to go forward in one direction. Okay, so that's that. Now, as this is step 2. This is the second part of this deal. You can see how outside pressure and inside pressure has really affected Saudi Arabia as far as their treatment of women. I mean, it really has affected them. This is what I see happening in Afghanistan. First of all, Afghanistan needs to get its act together. Those people need to get their act together. They cannot act like barbarians and sell this. Well, they can. I take it back. They just showed me Mugabe or somebody from Africa. This is absolutely terrible despot that sells their minerals and things and doesn't care and still kills their people. But this is the thing. This is the new generations of people. You and I are going to be buying rare earth minerals in our batteries, and we're going to demand as consumers that China get its act together, right? That Afghanistan get its act together, that the despots in the world get their act together, or we're not going to buy their products. And here's why I know this. Because these millennials and these younger kids and even younger kids are not into stuff. Now, some of them are, but the majority of them are not. They're not into buying things. So when you don't really give a flying pig's ear whether you have the latest this or that, then that puts a downward pressure on those people that create and make the thises and that's. Those people have to start paying attention to what you want. We have dollars. We have the power of our dollars. We can vote with our dollars. So this is what I see happening. Now, of course, this isn't going to happen in 6 months. This isn't going to happen maybe in 6 years. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Afghanistan is going to be modernized. And I feel like we're going into a new era of the feminine, of the divine feminine, of women stepping up, having a voice, protesting, and becoming leaders. And this is going to start ramping up. It's already been ramping up, but you're going to see it really ramp up in the next 5 years. So you're going to see once So what they're telling me actually is Afghanistan cannot afford, and I actually read this somewhere too, they can't afford at this point. They don't want violence. They want money. They don't want infighting. They want money. So it's in their best interest to sort of calm things down a little bit. You know? And when China gets in there and says, we're going to write you a big fat check right now, but we need you guys to kind of stay out of the limelight. We need you guys to stay under the radar a little bit. And, you know, like China does, for the most part, China tries to stay under the radar as far as human rights. I mean, they really do try. They could be a lot worse, right? These countries like Russia, they try to stay under the radar, right? So that's what they're going to ask Afghanistan to do. Stop videoing these things. Stop doing this stuff. It's not going to help us make money. So that's where I think the pressure is going to come in on Afghanistan. And I do see Afghanistan becoming a more modern country. I don't see them becoming a democratic country or a socialist country. I don't see that at all. But I do see them having some stability, you know, in the sense that Iran has some stability, right? That's kind of what I see happening. Except for that they're showing me, this is the thing that I think is the wild card and really interesting. This is an interesting thing. Okay, so Iran, I want to compare it to Iran, and they're like, well, no, not really. Iran is not really the right one to compare them to because Iran has been run by dictators. I mean, those people in Iran and in Russia know to follow the lockstep, right? In Afghanistan, the only lockstep is religious. That's the only lockstep. You know, you could get a dictator that would run it through the religious the caliphate or the religious dogma. But there are going to be some problems because these tribal people are independent. See, that's where they may run into some trouble. The tribal leaders are independent and they're not likely to follow. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting, you guys, because money is amazing. And I don't know that, I mean, trillions of dollars, trillions. I don't know. I can't see how that works out. I see it becoming more modern. And to be honest with you, I will say this. I can fast forward Afghanistan, let's say 20 years, 25 years. In 25 years, the Middle East is going to be completely different. Women are going to have much more rights. Much more rights. It's not pretty how we get there, but they have much more rights. The women, look, when the women have nothing to live for and they start maybe doing things to change that, then you have change. You know, you have change. So I think, yes, this is terrible, right? I mean, it's terrible, but it's regime change. Come on, this happens all the time. And furthermore, look at those pictures, and I'll probably put one up here. Look at those pictures of those big transport planes with 600 and 800 people in them. Biden is not going to leave somebody back on the field. I can tell you that right now. Biden will fly planes out of there until the last person that's in that airport wants to get on one. I promise you, Biden will not leave people behind. He will not. He won't. If you can get to the airport, he will not leave you behind. So, I think that's very interesting. I hope that illuminates some things for you. I hope that makes you feel better about things. You have to understand that these women and children that have suffered are no different, really, than the women and children that suffered in the Congo during the Tutsi and the Hutus. I mean, no different than a lot of the other civil wars that we've seen in the world. This is what happens when people when people are violent and fight each other for power, but it's also what happens when people are standing up and trying to get their own freedom. They're showing me a picture of Tiananmen Square when that person got run over by the tank in China. I mean, this is not new. This isn't new, folks. This is the same old story. But in this case, I really feel like there's other things at play here that give Afghanistan and the people of Afghanistan a chance to modernize and to possibly have a little bit more freedom. But what we can do is pray for them. We can send white light, healing prayers to all people. My gosh, right now, we want to talk about Afghanistan, and here in the United States, we have governors, my own, saying it should be against the law to have you wear a mask. I mean, wrap your head around that, folks. That's inviting illness and more DEATHs. I mean, it is. It's worldwide craziness going on right now, okay? So, I think they're asking us, what do you choose, light or dark? What do you choose, light or dark? What do you choose, light or dark? Choose light. Spread light. Be light. Lift up your governor. Lift up your politicians. Lift up your community in white light. Lift up the Afghans, the Afghanis. Lift up all the people in the world suffering in white light. Just do that every day. Spend 3 minutes lifting up anyone in the world that's suffering. That really makes a difference. It adds a beautiful energy out there to the earth. And that's what we can do to make a difference. That's really what we can do to make a difference. So I hope this video was informative, helpful. I don't know. I really appreciate you watching it. Thank you so very much. I'm welcome to hear your comments below. You guys take care. And I send you white light. I send you healing love surrounded by white light. You guys take care. For entertainment purposes only.